Welcome to the GameSpot Show. On today's episode, Dan Ryckert calls in to give us the lowdown on the Switch 2 reveal event. And Jordan Ramey shares his official review on South of Midnight.
Hey there, sir. $1. Thank you very much.
And now, for your host, Kurt Indavina.
That's right. I'm Kurt Indavina, folks. You're watching the GameSpot Show, and has been a week. An exciting week for video games because a little thing called the Switch 2 came out. Or no, that's all I'm lying. It didn't come out. It got revealed again because it was revealed a few months ago, and then they're like, hey, don't worry, we're gonna have a video with cool music and girls with friends on rooftops. Guess what didn't happen? That. You're losing your man. That's not true. I'm not gonna criticize Nintendo. You know what you're doing. If you're here, it's because you want to be informed. And thankfully, GameSpot is the place with all the information you need. So today's episode is gonna be a real informative one with all sorts of stuff. In fact, we have exclusive information right now because we have one Dan Ryckert who's on the show floor right now. Talk about the Nintendo Switch. Dan, tell me everything you've seen about the Nintendo Switch. Go for it, buddy. Dan, pick up the phone. Dan.
Hello?
Oh, there you are.
Oh, Kurt. Hey, Kurt. Yeah, how's it going? Yeah, I'm here.
going good.
I'm in New York City right now. I'm at the Nintendo
Cool.
Switch 2 event. I just played Mario Kart World, played some Metroid Prime 4 with the mouse controls. That was
sick.
fantastic. Played some Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube thing. And it's fantastic. I've had a good time. I yelled while playing Mario Party Jamboree TV. It's a good time. Now, Kurt, leave me alone. I've got to get back to it.
So we didn't learn anything. Dan, you screamed while playing a game? Is it good? Like, is the Switch 2 good? Like, anything new? All right, well, I promise we have information for this episode. In fact, this next segment, we actually hired somebody for this one. Their name is Jack, and Jack is actually going to help us cover all the games we don't get to talk about in this show because there's a lot of games that come out, and we're not always able to talk about every single one of them. So, Jack, break it down. Show us what we've missed this week. Go ahead, Jack.
Whoa, the wind. My hair's all fucked up because of the wind. Crazy week this week, last week, a week. 2 reviews. Inzoi, review in progress, 6. 6 out of 10, could change. It's a review in progress, might change. Who knows? I don't know. I didn't review it. I don't care. MLB The Show 25. They've made 25 of them, and this one got an 8. Wait, I said Inzoi got a 6 and this got an 8, right? Oh, the wind's coming again. I gotta go.
What the hell's happening? I didn't learn shit. All right, well, he's a new guy. I guess we'll work on it next week. He'll figure it out. But, if there's anything that can guarantee you that there's somebody here that does know what they're talking about. And that's Jordan Ramey. That's right. Jordan Ramey, join us. Come on. Give him a round of applause. Nothing?
Round of applause.
Yeah!
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, we're doing all right. Jordan, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here. I can't believe I'm missing this energy by not being in the office right now.
Why? What happened? Why aren't you here?
Because my car broke down for the 3rd time in as many months, and I'm thinking that maybe I have to buy a new car.
Let me get a boo.
Let's get a boo.
Boo! I'm so sorry, Jordan. But for all your...
All right, that's enough.
You don't sound sorry. You're saying sorry and laughing.
Well, no, because you don't hear the boos, do you?
No.
Oh, well, I just know that a lot of people are really upset for you. This whole room is filled with people who are mourning,
I appreciate
the potential death of your car or the need to buy a new one. But we could at least talk about something that'll lift your spirits. A little game you reviewed.
A little game?
Called
little Xbox game?
South of Midnight. Jordan, you reviewed South of Midnight. You gave it what? Tell me what you gave it.
I gave it an 8 out of 10, which is a great on GameSpot's review scale.
10 Tell me what it is. Why did you give it an 8 out of 10? Well, let's start with okay, before we get into the why. Give me the brief. Give me what you try and do verbatim your opening intro paragraph of your review.
Did you say verbatim?
Yes.
Sure. The opening.
Don't scroll. I've seen your glasses. I see the reflection of your glasses. That you're
Don't worry
scrolling on.
about it.
Just tell me what's South of Midnight. Tell me what South of Midnight is.
South of Midnight, I feel, is Compulsion Games finally getting a win. It's an incredible love letter to the American Deep South. Very well researched, very well voice acted. Really love seeing aspects of my culture from my dad's side of the family represented in a video game. You don't really get to see that all that often. Combat is okay. It's good. It's decent. In my review, I think I make it sound way worse than it actually is. It's passable. It's clear that the game's focus is more on the story and world building and lore, and the gameplay is kind of there as just a medium to move the player from one story beat to the next.
Compulsion's a cool. I like Compulsion as a studio. I don't feel like they've done in the few games that they've done. There is a sense of experimentation and artistry to what they do. There's a lot of style and character in the games that they've made. I am one of the few people who actually like We Happy Few. However, disclaimer, I played that game years after it came out. So
okay, yeah, if you played We Happy Few 2 or 3 years after the game came out, it's pretty good. The expansions made it a much better game.
I when I played it and I looked back at the reviews, I was like, what the fuck? What were all these people complaining about? I was like, oh, it was a busted different game from what I understand. So when I saw South of Midnight, before I even saw the combat, I was like, this looks sick. This looks up my alley. But admittedly, the moment I saw the combat, I was, a little checked out. So kind of, I don't know, it just looked like combat in a game, and I didn't know what purpose it was entirely trying to serve. But I was wondering if you could help me out with that. Obviously, you said combat's fine, but tell me how how those things. It's a folklore game with some combat. How do those two things marry together in this thing?
Yeah, so combat is explained in the game as all the negative emotions like fear, anger, sadness that are kind of permeating with people. Sometimes that gets all tangled and knotted up, and they kind of evolve into these near sentient, monstrous creatures called haints. And they guard these locations of negative emotions. And so Hazel's basically going in and fighting these haint creatures. There's a lot of different types. That's one of the good things about the combat is that South of Midnight has some good enemy variety, especially in the latter half of the game. And as she's defeating these enemies and clearing away the dark energy that's kind of infecting this part of the world, she gets to see the memories that they're kind of guarding, these negative emotions, these traumas from the people and animals that once lived there, and slowly begin to uncover the truth of what's been going on. It's very video gamey. It's very much you need some enemies to fight, and here's a very loose reason for you to fight some enemies. Again, it's not my favorite part of the game, but it's
talk to me, because you said in your review that the combat feels more in place as the game goes on. Tell me how that feels. Is it just an odd bedfellow in the opening game where you're being introduced in this world and you're just forced to fight shit, and then as the game continues, those things have higher stakes?
Yeah, I mean, you basically hit it right on the head. I don't want to say there aren't any stakes in the beginning of the game. Hazel's mom, the character you're playing as, her mom has been swept away in a hurricane and she's trying to get her back. But the pacing and tone of the early story is very relaxing, feels too strong of a word, but very much we're learning these stories, we're moving forward, her mom's going to be okay, we just have to reach her. And then at the same time, you get thrust into these like life or death situations where these enemies are taking off huge chunks of Hazel's health, and she's doing almost nothing because her abilities in the beginning of the game are very weak, and she only really has one offensive option. So there's just this weird tonal shift where the story isn't super high intense, but the combat is really freaking intense. And it's just a really bad disconnect, a weird bounce back and forth. As you get closer to the ending of the game, the stakes rise in the story. Hazel learns about more of like kind of what's been going on in her corner of the world and what it means to be a weaver. And then there's less of that tonal shift between the story that's happening around and the actual combat. So it kind of meshes a little bit better, if that makes sense.
Sure. The combat seems zippy. It looks zippy. Is that true?
I'm not quite sure what that means.
Just interpret it. When I say zippy, what do you think? Like, I mean, is it zippy? You're zipping around, right? It looks like you're kind of like zipping onto buildings.
I mean, Hazel's pretty fast. Yeah,
she's zippy.
She's a track star, so that's how they explain it. She's able to do all the really cool acrobatic, athletic stuff in the game.
I mean, but like if you were to play, but combat on its own, outside, I mean, of course, all these things are supposed to be married together to create something that is universal. But on its own, I mean, what is the combat still good? It just doesn't make sense in the terms of the game early on.
What way would you want to switch it?
I think
he's gonna need to be able to see the board. So Jordan's gonna need to see that.
I think again
with the TV,
like if
the
it was
wide,
just the combat, if this
one.
game was just
The one-
the combat
this
and platforming, I think I'd feel more about it how I feel about Contrast and We Have.
I mean, I
These
guess I can
Few when it
adjust the
first
camera,
came
too.
out. Games where I'm
can
like,
do that.
oh wow,
You want me to go in there?
this gameplay doesn't really support
Yeah, we can do that. Don't worry about switching.
playing through a full experience. Doesn't really, in my mind,
at the end
in
of
my
the segment.
opinion, doesn't really support the price tag. The story does a lot of the heavy lifting in the first part of the game, and I think the platforming and combat get better in the latter half. But the entire star of the show is definitely the music, the story, the voice acting, like the narrative elements are why you want to play this game.
Get into that, because you had mentioned earlier that like you don't get to see, you haven't really seen this sort of representation or this sort of storytelling of this certain sector in games yet, and you mentioned like closer to your dad in that way. Talk to me about it, because we haven't actually kind of got to see this sort of world in a game, and I think that's why when I initially saw the trailer, I was like, this looks sick, and then I saw the zippy gameplay, and I was like, I don't know if I care anymore. So I want you to try and convince me.
You should care, Kurt.
I do care. It just, you know.
But yeah, no, like when I was writing this review, I was like, okay, how many games have been set in the American Deep South? I should at least like reference like one or two of them. And the only ones that really came to mind was Resident Evil 7 and Narco. And I was like, I'm sure there's more, but off the top of my head, that's really the only ones.
And Resident Evil 7 really encapsulates the culture of that area. You know?
100%. Yeah, it's just like heading on down to Louisiana.
Yeah, I know when I went to New Orleans all years ago, I also got trapped in a house and was force-fed guts at one point too. So, no, I'm not going there. But there's only like a handful of games you can count on one hand that actually like have attempted to try and be in this area.
Yeah, and this game does a really good job of it. It showcases like the really cool and good parts of the game, like the various rural landscapes, what it's like when that sun just kind of comes over the top of the trees in the bayou. Like, it's a very pretty game, and the way people are talking to each other, like there's this sense of community and love between a lot of the characters. And at the same time, the game doesn't shy away from the very negative aspects of the region. Like, one of the first things that Hazel goes to is an abandoned slave town. And then there's aspects of prohibition in the game, just the disparity between the upper class and lower class. This game is a very big eat the rich message. and then it imbues all these myths and legends that like I know and like I've heard from my grandma and my grandpa because they're from Louisiana. Like my dad's from Louisiana, all his brothers and sisters are from. So I grew up like eating grits and catfish and crawfish and gumbo and hearing stories about like Two-Toed Tom and like Shakin' Bones and Huggin' Molly and things like that, and not being able to really talk about those things with other people. And those things are here in the game, and they've taken some creative liberty with some of them. A few, I was like, that's not the story that I've heard.
That's
but,
not the story grandmother
it is
used to tell
technically
me.
close enough.
Grandmother wasn't a track star zipping around with two-toed toad with the you know what I'm talking about.
Two-Toed Tom. He's a
Two-toed
giant
Tom. Honestly, you talking about those characters have been the most compelling. Again, I'm like right back to where I started when I first saw the trailer. Where I was like, I want to see this. I want to be in this world. I want to talk to these folk. If I had a skip by, not that I don't mind combat, it just I don't know. Just gotta feel. It has to feel cohesive.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
Tell me about the music, though.
The music, the Deep American South has such a good lyric oral tradition. Like, so much songs have to be like very, very vocal, very choral, very sitting around a campfire or sitting in a church singing them together. Music is gospel, and this game recognizes that and has a few levels where it's like, oh, Hazel's about to confront the major spirit that kind of embodies this area, of which there are 4, 5. Don't quote me on this. I'm talking off the cuff. But like in those levels, like the music kind of builds where it like sometimes it's like a few lyrics, sometimes it's a few notes of a few instruments, and then more instruments get added, more lyrics get added, and the song just kind of builds, slowly drowning out the sounds of the bayou or the town or the pig farm or wherever Hazel happens to be. Until finally that music, that song is the only thing that you can really hear. And that's usually when Hazel's fighting the boss. And the songs are so good. They're not like, oh, these songs I think are going to wow music critics around the world, but they're like really
but they feel
catchy
interwoven.
and I love them.
Yeah.
Like they're just so good.
So you're saying that the final boss fight is that song that's like "Born on a Bayou," that one by Clear Brown Water.
That very specific song, yes, that's exactly what plays during the
Bay Area
final
band.
boss fight.
Yeah,
Creedence Clearwater.
You know, it's I call them Creedence Brownwater, but they're from SF, so I don't know what the hell they're doing making a "Born on a Bayou" song. Well, it's a real missed opportunity for them to really encapsulate Louisiana culture with a San Francisco band. How did they miss that chance? I'm joking. I don't like that band. Going on record, baby. As we were talking, there was another game that I remember that takes place in that area, and I'm not going to suggest you play it because I reviewed it. It was the first review I did for GameSpot. It was Deadly Premonition 2. That's an open world game in New Orleans, Louisiana. If you could get past the frame rate, you might be able to see something you recognize. But that's it. You gave it an 8 out of 10. And to me, it sounds like a really compelling game purely and solely for its lore and characters and music and all that jazz. Maybe I'll even endure the zippy zap, skibbity bop, shoo up bop combat. I got one more.
Add an adjectives.
I got one more question for you though.
Oh, good. What is it? What is it? I'm worried.
Wait, no, hold on, Jake.
You got that smirk. You got that smirk going. I don't know what's about to happen.
What is south of midnight?
What?
6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right.
This camera, Max.
Now for the next one. Now that means since you reviewed it, you get to put this in the power ranking board. Thank you, my beautiful person, Jake, who brought this in. Can you see the board?
Yes, I can see the board. Yeah, Adam Fall, Split Fiction.
Adam Falls.
What's changed since?
Oh, Adam Falls at the very top.
Berserker Kazan is over Assassin's Creed Shadows now.
Oh yeah. So first Berserker Shaka Khan is above Assassin's Creed Shadows, which you put above Cabernet for some reason, and now we have Adamfall above Split Fiction at the very top. So for those of the viewers who are just seeing this, quick thing, this is our nonsensical board of being cool. And these games cannot move. Only games can go above and below them. So, Jordan Ramey, 8 out of 10, South of Midnight. Where does it go? Does it go above Assassin's Creed Shadows? Above first Berserker Kazan? Kingdom Come Deliverance 2? Or all the way down below Sniper Elite Resistance?
Definitely not. I feel like this is going to be something that a lot of people are down the line are going to look at this and be like, why the hell did Jordan do this? But I'm a narrative slut. I'm a whore for story. So if a game has a really good story, but the gameplay isn't super hot, I will like it more than a game where the gameplay is really good. But the story maybe doesn't quite
Spit it out. Come on.
reach it. I'm going to put it above Assassin's Creed. I have no knowledge of the first Berserker, and I have no idea if South of Midnight's any better.
Bam! Well, that's it. This board continues to grow, and Jordan continues to review games, and now has
I do.
2 8 out of 10s and a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Did you review anything else? Doesn't matter. We'll figure out next time.
Strands.
All right, everybody. Jordan, thank you so much for being here. Jordan, yeah, get this out of here, you
Always a
beast.
pleasure.
We're going to be right back. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to have Jake Decker on for a second to talk about a little game called Doom. Dark Ages? Yeah. We'll be right back. Hot bop, skibbity bop, shoo wop wop. Welcome back to the GameSpot Show. Such a void of an audience today. There's nobody wants to. There we go. Not that I need it, but it makes me feel better because I don't know. I feed off a clap or two.
It's lonely in here.
I know. I got Jake, and I'm still lonely.
It makes sense.
I didn't say we didn't need a clap for Jake. I feel like Jake got a clap immediately. I'm like, hey, welcome back to the show, and I just get like a wind sound.
Like a fart noise.
Yeah, exactly. This is whenever it's just me. And here we are. Jake Decker, you went to a place and you saw a game called Doom: The Dark Ages, right?
I did. It was kind of a while ago now. It was like a month ago at this point.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Well, the preview happened this Monday.
Yes.
This previous Monday. But there's something you say in that video that I kind of want to point out to you.
Oh no.
You open it up right out and you're like, I don't care about Doom lore. And that's what this game really seems like. It seems to be leading into. Is like
Doom lore the game.
Doom lore of the game.
To be fair, I didn't see much of the story. I only saw a couple cutscenes.
Yeah, but how much lore do you know from the other games? Tell me something.
None.
It could
Basically.
anything. You know something.
Something. I know that they fracked Mars, and that's why they accidentally opened a portal to hell in Doom 2016, and then that's kind of the thing that set off the
Learn a lesson,
events.
frackers. Get fracked and you go to hell. I was doing some research on Reddit, a machine that has lots of information you should trust. And somebody on Reddit, I Googled Doom lore. And
Okay.
the top thing in my Google search was Doom guy is BJ Blazkowicz.
Oh, okay.
From Wolfenstein.
Well, it's like an ancestor, right? It's not actually BJ Blazkowicz, or is it supposed to be BJ Blazkowicz?
Couldn't tell you. Don't care. I'd rather just play as BJ Blazkowicz than... I still like Doom. I love Doom, but I don't play Doom for its lore. But you know what? I do think you have to suffer for your sins.
Okay.
Everyone out there is very upset with you because they love Doom.
I didn't look at the comments.
Yeah, and because of that, you should go to hell.
Okay. Yes!
That's right.
I got the red light.
That's right. You're in hell, you son of a bitch, for all your sins and your non-Doom lore caring. And because you're in hell, I'm gonna subject you to
Trivia? Because that is hell.
Yeah.
A hell of my own making.
Yeah. All right, buddy. How many Doom movies are there?
1 with The Rock.
You're wrong.
2.
There's 2.
Okay.
When did the Rock one come out?
2005.
Oh yeah, because you saw my card earlier, you son of a bitch.
No, because I've seen it.
No, you cheated.
Carl Urban. Vin
Carl
Diesel.
Urban. Yeah, Vin Diesel's not in it.
Yeah, he is.
Is Vin Diesel in the Doom 2005 movie? Is that true?
I don't know. I'm just saying shit. The Rock is in it.
What was that?
I have no idea.
Well, I think you lied. They came out with another one. Do you know what it's called?
Doom 2.
Doom Annihilation, which I'm pretty sure was like an unofficial Doom film. I'm not sure.
Yeah, is that part of the lore? Is that part of the official lore?
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
asking?
yeah. Doom. Yeah, Carl Urban went in the first-person mode in the first Doom film, and then that's when Doom 2016 starts.
Yeah.
It's just that movie ends, and you start that game. When was the release date of the original Doom game?
The day?
Yeah, day and year.
It was like 94, wasn't it?
You're wrong.
97?
You're wrong. That's like past.
There's no way I can get the...
December 10th, 1993. You deserve to rot in hell. You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, lucky for you. We're not gonna. I'm not gonna make Jake talk anymore about.
Well, wait, hold on. I have trivia for you.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is changed pace. I'm the.
Yeah,
I'm
I've got
the one
trivia
at
for you.
Okay.
What's Doom Guy's rabbit's name?
Rabbit's name.
Yeah?
Doom Rabbit.
You don't know?
There's no fucking Doom Rabbit.
Yeah, Daisy. Come on.
There's no Doom Rabbit.
Yeah, there is. In Doom 2, he's got a rabbit.
Oh, is that true? Why do you know that?
Because I was Googling Doom trivia,
Oh,
because I
yeah.
figured you'd ask me Doom questions, and I don't know.
I never asked you about.
That may not be true. I saw it on Reddit. Someone could have just made that shit
I played
up.
Doom 2.
Yeah, and his rabbit dies. Maybe it doesn't happen in game.
You can't trick the trickster.
Look it. This is what Reddit told me.
I'm okay, yeah, just along with BJ Blasquez. I'm done talking to you. All right, folks, stick around because we're gonna actually roll Jake's preview video. We got that ready, right? I hope so.
Give me a minute.
Okay, so, well, you did do a preview, and we're gonna play the entire thing, so I don't have to have you reverb, like regurgitate.
That makes sense.
Did. But is Daisy in Doom Dark
No.
Ages? Then who cares?
Well, I don't know. I haven't played all of it.
All right, well, you enjoyed what you played though.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
What's your favorite part?
I mean, there's some cool weapons. I think it's called the chain shot, where you just fire a cannonball attached to a chain.
It has ammunition.
It has ammo, which doesn't make sense to me, but I'm sure there's a reason.
The lore, the Doom lore.
Yeah.
That you're gonna really invest yourself into.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna
All right,
make
well,
sure.
While they're doing that, I'm still waiting for this Doom video. Because we were so prepared.
Give me a minute.
All right. Yeah, see, we're in hell.
Why don't you
According to
recite
fandom.
Doom lines?
Daisy is Doom Guy's pet rabbit, according to fandom. Do we know that company?
I wouldn't trust them, but
Oh yeah, it's true. Daisy is Doom Guy's pet rabbit. Episode 3 Inferno. Shows that I know. I read the book when I was a kid, the Doom book. Knee deep in
Doom
blood.
lore.
In Doom, yeah, in Doom lore. You got to talk to the developers, Hugo and Marty.
yep.
Did they smell nice?
I was kind of far from them.
How far?
Well, there was a shield in between us. Like
Wait,
the,
really?
the shield saw. Yeah.
Like the Doom shield.
yeah. They
Okay.
put it between us. Not like a shield shield.
Were they planning on attacking you with it?
Maybe. I don't know. They could have if I asked a bad question.
Where do you think Doom goes from here?
I was gonna say heaven, but it's already been there.
It has been the heaven.
Medieval. I don't know. Back to Doom 3, survival horror.
Flashlight.
Flashlight.
You have to put your gun away.
We
and
have it.
Have it. Oh my God! This just in. We have very important information that Jake Decker previewed Doom: The Dark Ages, and we're about to watch that video here. That brings the GameSpot show to a close. It was a real smooth, informative episode, but nothing's going to be more as informative as Jake's video all about the lore of Doom coming up right now. See you later, folks. Stay tuned. Watch that. Goodbye.
I just played 3 hours of Doom: The Dark Ages, so let's rip and tear through what I saw.
That was a little cheesy.
That was a little cheesy.
All right.
We'll go with the first one. So first up, the thing that everyone probably cares most about with Doom is its story. It's there. There's more of it. There's cutscenes, there's characters, there's stuff going on. I don't care. I'm sorry, I don't. There's more lore, which is cool, and I'm sure people who are fans are gonna be stoked, but like, I'm not there for the story. I talked to Hugo Marty Stratton. They referenced a lot of action movies. They said they were trying to create a pace to the story that pulls the player through the game.
Roadhouse was actually a big source of inspiration, as were all of the great 80s, 90s action films. We really just focused and did a deep dive on the action genre, to make sure that like the pace of the game, the scale, like the narrative, it really properly supports, the gameplay.
I only saw, 3 or 4 cutscenes probably, so I really don't know what's happening in the story other than that the Doom guy shows up on this medieval realm, this medieval themed realm, and he's ready to kill demons. That's about as much story as I need for a Doom, but given the cutscenes and how elaborate they were, it seems like they're trying to build more story here. There's proper villains, there's different characters, there's different parts of the world that are being shown. But the thing that I want to talk about, and the thing that probably a lot of people want to hear about, is the combat. When this game was announced, a big tagline for it was "Stand and Fight." That sounds cool. That sounds badass, you're scoring up against a demon. However, I think I went in with a little bit of caution, I would say, because I think one of the reasons why Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, and honestly like old Doom games, the reason why they're so much fun is because of that movement, because of that, like, it almost feels like you're on ice, you're like sliding around the map.
What about Doom 3?
Well, Doom 3 is a different story. That's, survival horror-ish, right?
You should make another one of those. Yeah, and flashlight, bring it back to when it was first released, when you gotta put your gun away.
Yeah,
Flashlight.
Maybe the next Doom will be
Flashlight.
that. Will be a spiritual successor to Doom 3. With Doom: The Dark Ages, it is still very fast-paced. You're still moving around the battlefield quickly. It's not a cover shooter, obviously. You are still moving constantly. You're dodging bullets. That sort of bullet hell feel that you see in later areas of Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 is still there. Lots of movement. However, there are certain enemies that you can more efficiently kill if you square them down. You look them down, you walk up to them, and you just start using your shield to deflect attacks and then follow up with melee attacks.
What do you say to him when you're like, if you're staring down the barrel of a bad guy?
I say, I'm gonna rip and tear your nuts. But when you challenge these demons, there's still stuff going on around you. However, this is when your shield comes into play. There is parrying mechanics. There's a blocking mechanic, which, to be fair, I rarely blocked. It's kind of weird. It slows you down. It seems a little inefficient in a Doom, but there are certain instances, mostly environmental instances, where I would hold the shield up to block. But when you're fighting these demons that require you to kind of get up front and deflect attacks, there's a good back and forth there, because unlike the chainsaw, which had gas that you had to collect in order to chainsaw through demons, you only get 3 charges of your melee attacks, or your melee weapon. So whether using the flail or the power gauntlet, you only have 3 powerful attacks with that, and then you default to just a standard melee attack. However, if you perfectly time a parry, then you get a charge back. So the idea here is you fight one of these melee demons, you square up with it, you deflect, you return, you deflect, you return. And that's sort of the loop for these demons. But at least based on what I played, this doesn't happen very often. It's kind of like other Doom games where you'd see a specific demon, you'd use a specific weapon on that because you know that would kill that demon easily or more easily. With this, I kind of got the same vibe, where it's you see a tyrant, you walk up to that tyrant, and then you fight it that way. When it's dead, and then you're zipping around the battlefield again. The shield does have other uses, though. It's not just for combat, it's also kind of for traversal. You can use it for puzzles, but I think my favorite use of it is the shield dash, which you can kind of lock onto an enemy and attack, and you zip through the battlefield, and then you can attack a demon in front of you. It feels like Doom: The Dark Ages meat hook in a way, except it's easier to use because it's not attached to one weapon. You always have your shield with you. And you're not really fighting against inertia here. So when you see a demon you want to attack, you lock on, you zip over to them, and then you start fighting them. There's no, I don't know, Spider-Man web slinging sort of effect where you like hook onto something and then you kind of like swing around. It is very direct. It's also less vertical too. So you can target a demon above you and you can dash up to him, but you can't like target a demon straight up and swing up there or anything. So I guess with the shield saw in the mix, Doom the Dark Ages might feel a little different at first. There's new mechanics you kind of have to wrap your head around. There's different strategies that you'll need to follow. But at the end of the day, it still feels like a Doom game. It's fast, it's gory. The weapons, like most of your combat is going to be with your firearms. And there are a ton of pretty dope firearms. They've really leaned into the medieval Gothic aesthetic here. One of the weapons I used a lot was the Skull Crusher, which grinds up skulls and then fires out skull bits on a horizontal plane. Super good for close range. It doesn't quite feel like a shotgun. It's something different. It's fully automatic, but I found that fairly useful. There's also a weapon that I don't think they've showed off that I got to test out in this preview, and that was the chain shot. Essentially, this thing has a cannonball attached to a chain and it fires it out and retracts after you hit an enemy. But basically, this thing just knocks down demons at close range. It's pretty cool, feels good. It's got some good sound effects, some good like bone crunching with each hit. The one weird thing though is that it still has ammo, which is weird because you'd think it wouldn't need it, but I guess, you know, game balance, you can't just be using that the entire time. And
I'm sure that the Doom lore,
there's some reason.
Really deep
yeah,
lore.
It probably explains it in a cutscene that I'm gonna skip when it comes out. The final level I played in the demo was something called Siege, and here there was, I think, 3 or 4 objectives that I could complete in any order. It was a giant battlefield that I was sort of able to explore. It kind of reminded me of like Gears 5. You know how Gears 5 added open areas? Like you still play through your linear Gears of War levels, and then all of a sudden you get to an open area. That's kind of how it felt. Maybe not that big. There's no vehicles, at least based on what I played. There's no vehicles in those sections that you're going through. But these areas were kind of cool because they offered a more freeform approach to combat. I would see a group of enemies really far away and be like, I'm gonna go mess them up. And then I'd head over there and I'd try out different weapons, die, reload, try out different weapons. And there was some cool like objectives and mechanics within there that seemed optional, but it seemed like doing them was usually worth your time, whether that be collectibles, weapon upgrades, Doom stuff. And lastly, for the first time in the modern Doom series, they have added some vehicles. The Atlan, which is a giant mech, and a dragon you can ride. Both of these vehicles, for lack of a better term, they rely heavily on a dodge mechanic. So essentially when you see a green attack heading towards the Atlan or the dragon, you dodge. If you dodge at the right time, time slows and you can do a counter attack. I thought the Atlan felt really good. I'm not a big mech guy. I don't really like piloting mechs in games, but the Atlan felt big and chunky and all of its attacks had a lot of weight. And you know, there's something cool about squaring up against some demons that were like final bosses in older Doom games, and you're just kind of punching them so hard that like flesh and bone is flying off, and it looks cool, it feels good. It's very simple in a way that I think is good because it felt like a nice change of pace. That said, there's also the dragon stuff, and it works in a similar way. You're trying to dodge green attacks, you're countering, but it's also, you know, 3-axis. You're moving across the X, the Y, and the Z axis. And that felt a little weird to me. It felt a little too floaty. You'd be flying really fast through a tunnel and all of a sudden you'd see an enemy, you lock on and then you'd stop. And then you'd have this sort of limited range of motion while you dealt with that enemy. And it felt a little strange. According to the developers, that's one of the things that they're still fine-tuning before launch. And they still have, you know, about a month and a half, 2 months before that game comes out. So maybe that's something that can get worked out in the next couple weeks. But based on what I played, I think the weakest link of everything I saw was probably the dragon combat. Now that said, the level I did get to do on the back of the dragon was pretty cool because you basically flew over a giant city and there were 4 helicarriers that you had to destroy. But in order to destroy them, you had to board them. So basically you had to disable all the guns and then you could land on it and then you destroy it from the inside, like in Star Wars Battlefront 2. If anyone gets that, you know, the space battles, that's what I'm talking about. The space battles where you'd fly inside and destroy it from the inside. Kind of felt like that. But the level design was a bit more winding than that. So a lot of times you'd blow up the helicarrier and then you jump off that and you'd be in the city for a bit and you'd be shooting and killing demons. And then every single time it would end with you jumping off a cliff and then your dragon would come and pick you up. It was epic, it was grand, and I think that's kind of one of the things that Hugo Martin and Marty Stratton kind of wanted to impart upon the people playing it, was that given the fantasy setting, they really wanted to lean into that in a way that they felt you kind of need to when you're doing fantasy, right? You think of fantasy, you think of Lord of the Rings, you think of The Witcher, I don't know, other fantasy stuff.
You don't know any fantasy things, do you?
I know, that's the only thing I can think of.
When you think of fantasy, you think of
Two things. Lord of the Rings and The Witcher.
And now Doom.
And now Doom.
When you think fantasy, you think Lord of the Rings, you think huge. You know, I think there's a grandness to fantasy and epicness that people expect. So it was important. It was fun actually putting that in Doom.
But I kind of get it. Like, it feels grand, it feels epic, and that is kind of one thing that both the Atland and the Dragon Writing kind of add to it. Like, you're getting huge vistas of this giant world, and in that regard, it seems cool. And I think, while I'm not super excited for the story, I am excited to see how they use that setting in cool ways. And of course, I'm excited to kill demons.
Does Doom have sex in this one?
Yes. Every cutscene he has sex.
Great.